Yep. For those of you who are talking about it, yeah, Hurricane Katrina was a Category 3 when it made landfall. That doesn't mean that all Category 3s are Hurricane Katrina. It doesn't mean that this one's not going to be as bad or it's going to be as bad. But it is another reminder to not. There's no need to pay too much attention to that number in a situation like this. It just means the winds are going to be a little bit less intense than they were over the ocean. Doesn't mean anything for anybody on land. Go ahead, Andy.
Thanks, Ryan. Yeah, I just want to issue another word of advice and a closer look at where this tornado is going, because it's passing through very heavily populated areas right now in Lakewood Park, Florida Ridge, and the western side of Florida Ridge, and headed into Vero Beach South. You guys will see damage from this. There are definitely going to be damaged neighborhoods from this, even if it's on the lighter end from a weaker tornado. I want to say that everyone in this warning, and if there's another confirmed warning issued here, should be taking shelter. I do think there's a chance that this cell can do what we have seen already today, where this tornado detaches from the storm, maybe moves off to the west a little bit through parts of South Vero Beach, whereas a new one may form right on the beach, closer to South Beach, along Highway A1A. I believe this is like a barrier island, so closer to Humiston Beach Park and those areas, right where it connects across the highway, across the islands there on the Merrill P. Barber Bridge. There could be another tornado that comes together right on the east side of the storm. You can see the hook there on the radar that Ryan's showing you. So chance for multiple tornadoes to occur here, all within the warning polygon. So I want everybody to be taking shelter if you are under a tornado warning right here from Viking north all the way to Sebastian, Florida.
Thank you so much, Andy. Keeping us updated on our tornado situation over here. And then we've gotten a couple of our newest tornado warnings are ones that we haven't talked about in a second. So I want to mention these again. Down here in
a new
Palm Beach
tornado
County,
warning
Florida,
has been issued.
We actually just got another one for that area. But the water conservation area number 1 up towards Wellington, new tornado warning for you guys. Also, a tornado warning continues for Palm Beach County farther to the west. This includes
a new
5B.
tornado warning has been
it
issued.
Includes the Christ Heritage Academy. Take shelter now. Another new warning for Orange County, Florida. This includes a lot of Orlando. And the rotation associated with this is not quite as strong as what we've seen with a lot of these other storms, but it is still a strong storm capable of producing a tornado. We need you to take shelter in Orlando, okay? This is going to go until 5:15. Lake Conway South, the Seaplane Base, Burt Martin's Children's Emergency Department. These are just a couple of the places that are in the path of the specific area of rotation that might try to produce a tornado here in Orlando. Nothing confirmed, but there is a warning. Yeah, we're not even. Landfall hasn't even happened yet, and this has already been one of the wildest hurricane coverages we've ever done here. The water's really starting to come up now, though, so it's starting to feel more like a hurricane stream, I think. This water's risen quite a bit in the past little bit.
You're watching Knee Jerk Reactions with London Bridges, bringing you live coverage with the fellas. For all of my people out in Florida, hunker down. We'll get through this. I know we just came through Helene. Let's go, and hope you enjoy. Hope this provides insight for you.
We are covering all aspects of Hurricane Milton, including the tornado situation. Fort Myers, I think that the tornado threat for you has let up a little bit. I don't think we have to worry too much about that in the near term. Something else that we have to start worrying about down there, though, now is that storm surge and the overall effects from the hurricane that's coming through.
Most recent tornado
Why
in
does
the
the
Orlando area.
there's just there's a little discrepancy with the track. It hasn't updated completely yet. That'll sort itself out here in a moment.
Major hurricane Milton
We're starting to hear some more reports of damage in the Fort Myers area. By the way, one of the hardest hit places seems to be Fort Myers, as far as we know so far. Roofs completely blown off of homes. People are now seeking alternative shelter. This is mostly happening on Orangewood Avenue. So really unfortunate situation where a lot of those same places will take on additional damage with the hurricane as it's coming in later. And yes, we do have a shed camera. And the water is starting to rise here as well. As you can see, it's starting to overtake the path a little bit there. Go ahead, Andy.
Hey, Ryan, I think we'll see a new tornado warning south and east of Okeechobee and northwest of Indiantown here for this small supercell that is south and east. It's barely in that current warning right there. However, I think it's taking a more conducive track for producing a tornado. It's moving a little bit more west than the storm just to its north. So if we do see a new tornado warning from that, that's the reason why. And I do think it has maybe just as good, if not a greater chance to produce a tornado compared to the storm to its north, which does have an interesting signature on it right now. It may be producing a tornado as well in that warning. And that would be just due east of Okeechobee and west of Port St. Lucie, about halfway between those two cities. So I think we'll see another warning for this storm to the south and east. Please be prepared for that. Northwestern Martin County, southwestern St. Lucie County.
Thank you so much, meteorologist Andy Hill. Another one. This one looks like it could be another potentially serious situation where we have a tornado coming up towards places near Bluefield. We've got the Southern Fruit Groves Airport in the path as well. This is happening to the south and to the west of Port St. Lucie. And then we also have another area of rotation and a tornado warning that we're keeping an eye on south and west of Westlake, moving up towards the J.W. Corbett Wildlife Management Area. And then we've got another tornado warning that we're watching well off to the west of Delray Beach in the water conservation area. This is moving up towards Wellington. You guys are under a tornado warning as well in Martin County, Florida. We do have that tornado warning in Orlando as well, or southeastern portions of Orlando are under a tornado warning until 5:15 p.m. Eastern. Currently, no major signs of an ongoing tornado from what we can tell. This is a precautionary warning. And rightfully so. We've seen how quickly today certain storms have been able to produce tornadoes. This one's no different, okay? So let's take it seriously. Let's respect it and get into our safe spots. Marco Island Police Department is reporting, or they're sending out this PSA. As local weather conditions deteriorate, should you experience an emergency, call 911. A curfew is in place beginning at 4 p.m. Stay off the roads this evening as storm surge is expected to be 5 to 8 feet in the Marco Island area.
Marco Island, hunkered down. Very small island over there. Storm will definitely make a big impact. Be safe and Godspeed, everybody.
Yeah, we're starting to. Yeah, lots of places along southwestern Florida near Naples are starting to report like halfway into minor flooding and approaching moderate flooding. Yeah, the highest point in Marco Island is not much more than 8 feet. So that's why that they've got that curfew in place. It's going to be a dangerous place if the water actually rises that much. Go ahead, Andy.
Hi, Ryan. A very large debris ball on this storm that is due east of Okeechobee here, the one that is halfway between Okeechobee and Port St. Lucie. So large tornado there that is likely eating up quite a few trees. That is going to head north and intersect the county highway or state highway road 70 there. So state highway 70, county highway 70, that east-west road looks like the path will be in the path of this tornado that is doing quite a bit of damage, probably to mostly trees that we can see on the radar.
Thank you so much, meteorologist Andy Hill. Definitely a tornado producing or causing damage here, as we can see the debris signature on the correlation coefficient. We talked about Bluefield. Hopefully this is not coming from Bluefield. Bluefield's a tiny little area here north of Marcy. But if this continues to go on its same trajectory, it'll cross Okeechobee Road here within the next couple of minutes to the west of the St. Lucie County Fairgrounds. So y'all take shelter if you're in this area. I don't know if Bluefield even has a population. Hey, how many people live in Bluefield, Florida?
Ryan, Bluefield, Florida is pretty small, with an estimated population of less than 100 people. It's a quiet spot compared to the bustling cities you usually cover.
All right. What about the St. Lucie County Fairgrounds? Do you know anything about that?
The St. Lucie County Fairgrounds is a hub for community events in Fort Pierce, Florida. It hosts the annual St. Lucie County Fair and offers facilities for expositions, concerts, and other gatherings throughout the year. A real local hotspot.
All right. So Highway 70 between the fairgrounds and Okeechobee, pretty rural area, right?
Yes, Ryan. Highway 70 between Fort Pierce and Okeechobee is largely rural. You'll find open landscapes, agricultural fields, and pockets of wildlife.
Cool.
It's a scenic drive, but watch out for those sudden...
For a second and bring you Hurricane Milton coverage for everyone in Orlando. That is Orlando, Florida, right where Disney World is. We're going to bring it. So that's where I am coming from, right outside of there. And we're going to go ahead. And there's several tornadoes that are actually being spurned as a result of Hurricane Milton, which is a Cat 5.
You can see that right here. That's going to continue to follow up once again, most likely towards Orlando. So that's why we can see those two polygons side by side. But again, what we're really looking for is that little bit of rotation. So that green and the red meeting each other. And we still are seeing that right now. So let's actually pop on our rotation apparatus right here. This is one of our tools that we use, and it's showing rotation just down right on the border of Osceola County and Orange County right there. But what we're also looking for, especially in the reflectivity, I'm going to switch to that tool real quick, especially in tornado coverage. And this is a good rule of thumb, especially to meteorologists. If we see a lot of rain, we're looking for the reds, the yellows, the oranges, and then we're looking at these little dropouts of green, which is exactly what we're seeing right here, which is also where we're also seeing that rotation of what we saw with using that last tool. So that's ultimately the area of what we're seeing at the moment. So now let's back it up. We were really focusing in on this area, slowly starting to see that weaken, but then also it started to strengthen again. Again, just showing ultimately how unpredictable these tropical tornadoes can be. They die down, they pop up very quickly. So it's best if you are in a tornado watch, make sure you know what your area is and your safe area is in your home. Real quick, Noah, and then I'll toss it back to you. One thing that I'm also watching right here is just south of Brevard County. We are keeping an eye on a confirmed tornado warning in Indian River County. That is in effect until 5 p.m. This is going to continue to make its way up the coast, so Grant, Valkyria, make sure you are staying aware, staying with us right here, because I think these storms slowly going to make their way up to Brevard County as we take a look at the next couple of minutes. Noah?
Yeah, Laurel, and one thing I wanted to add to the conversation here is that we've got some breaking developments with the hurricane, and I was just chatting with another meteorologist in Tampa, and this thing is not turning. And in fact, I just did some quick graphic work for you. The white line is the archived track history. The orange line is the advisory that came out an hour ago. And I've underlaid the radar, and just look for yourself. It is not on the heading it was expected to be. Now, for us, this does not change. Again, we talked about this last night, and I repeated this many times. These track wobbles and this, that, and the other don't mean anything for Orlando. We're going to get the tornadoes, we're going to get the wind, we're going to get the flooding. But for the people in Tampa, this is the difference between 16 feet of surge in downtown and 0. And right now, there's the heading. It's northeast at 17. And right now, at this point when a hurricane, this is the old school way of doing it back 30 years ago. When you don't have all the models, you just look at the radar and look where it's going. You just plot an X every couple of minutes where it is. Unless this thing starts to hook a hard right turn, it's going to be in Tampa Bay, which you can see. There's the eye. And it is not turning. So we're going to watch that the next couple of hours, because that's kind of a development here in the last couple of minutes. It is not turning, which, again, for us doesn't change the impact. But for the surge, you can clearly see it was already supposed to be going this way, and it is not. So that is a very, very interesting development of the hurricane, which we will come back to in a couple of minutes. So, big picture reset. We don't get too much tunnel vision here. I don't want to lose sight of the rest of the area. Gainesville, Ocala, Daytona, Palm Coast, just rain, general rain. Villages rain, Disney World rain, Titusville rain, Cocoa Beach rain, Melbourne rain. More tornadoes south of Brevard. We're watching those. But there's these 2 tornado warnings in Orange County. And the radar from Orlando International Airport reveals something a little more interesting. So I know this is a lot. There's a tornado warning, 2 of them, one till 4:45. It's going to probably expire. Then a new one till 5:15, which got issued a few minutes ago. But let me just put the airport. The airport velocity. So there's a radar at MCO. It's a lot lower power. It's not, as you see clearly, not as clear as the Weather Service or our radar, which there you see our radar in Orange County. But normally when you get rotation, like in the summertime, in the spring, when we have squall lines come across Florida, or in the winter, it's a nice tool to see that the MCO terminal radar, it's the little radar they have near the airport for all the planes that come in and out. I can't see the velocity on our system right now, but on my other device I can. And I have to tell you, right over Lake Hart, there is some very strong wind right now that I can see from the MCO radar, because it's right next to it, but not otherwise. So we're going to keep an eye on it right over Lake Hart. Actually, let me see if I can pull it up for you right now. So let's get the velocity data up here. And yeah, this rotation is still going. I mean, it's right here right now, right over 528. This is wind again blowing towards the radar and away. It's enough for a tornado warning, meaning that there's the potential at any moment it could produce a brief tornado. But this right now is not strong enough for me to be super concerned. But right over 528, that's one area of rotation where the air is going around. There's probably a funnel cloud in there, but it's wrapped in rain. You would never see it. Remember, a funnel cloud is what the beginnings of a tornado is, and that could stay up there for a while, and then eventually it drops down. But where that is, right here, is going to go towards University Park. There's the path of that. 508. So that rotation, it's 11 miles from University Park, Union Park, coming up about 15 to 20 minutes. We're keeping an eye on that as well. Also near Lake Hart. Now, again, it does not show up as well on this weather radar we have on our TV. It doesn't show up as well. Let's see if I can get it here. You can kind of see, at least this view tells you, there's these two areas of spin. There's one over here, and there's one over Lake Nona and Lake Hart. So both of these we're keeping an eye on. So now it's a little easier for me to message this to you. There's one tornado warning till 5:15 for Orange County, but there's one area of spin right here, and there's another area of spin over here, and both are a part of the same thunderstorm, but they're moving independent of each other. This one's going this way, this one's going this way, and neither at the moment, just confirming I'm not missing anything here, neither at the moment are producing damage or on the ground, which is really good news to share.
We're watching Fox 35 Orlando right now with updates.
Let me see if we have any other reports. You see our camera, we're going to pop up here. That's our Thunder Truck, which is out there tracking. You can see things with the rain there. Just catch up with the Weather Service here, make sure I haven't missed anything. So, man, there are a lot of confirmed tornadoes just to our south in Indian River County. So here's some new stuff for you guys. Melbourne Beach, 64 mile an hour wind. This was 6 minutes ago in Brevard County. So Barefoot Bay, that's I think it may be like a mile south of there, 2 miles south. So a 64 mile an hour gust. That was from a tornado warned storm just south, but it produced 64 mile an hour winds there. St. Lucie County, 60 mile an hour gust observed. This was 8 minutes ago. Vero Beach, 72. We're talking about these storms down over here right now. So these wind gusts I'm referring to are these storms over here to the south of Brevard County. 72 mile an hour gust in Indian River County. 60 mile an hour gust in Fort Pierce. Observed tornado with damage in Fort Pierce. Train spotter reports tornado, bent power poles on Route 1, business signs destroyed, a couple buildings with structural damage and trees down. That's in Martin County, and then the same report in St. Lucie County. So some, unfortunately, tornado damage to report there. Standing water, observed tornadoes, more Martin County damage. Yeah, so a lot of damage from these cells just south of Brevard we're still keeping an eye on right now. We haven't talked about the spin here off of Brevard County. Let's take a look. So there's a little bit of spin over Melbourne shores. We'll keep an eye on this right here. A little bit of spin there. Could be a water spout there. This is a strong area of rotation. That was just what was over Route 1 near Sebastian. That's probably a water spout offshore, more likely than not. There's another water spout offshore right here. So you've got two water spouts just off the beach there. And then another, this is a confirmed tornado. We're still watching this. That's another strong one. You can see that little hook down there. It looks like a 6. Again, these are signatures and terminology on the radar you're not probably used to hearing a Florida meteorologist say, because you don't really normally see that in central Florida, but it's pretty clear. You see that little hook there? That's a confirmed tornado. So we're still keeping an eye on these storms sitting here south of Melbourne. At some point they should lift north, but we're keeping a very close eye on those for our friends in Brevard County. But back to the Orange County stuff. right now. And again, I know we're talking a lot about tornadoes, but as long as we have warnings, we're going to stick with them. And this one goes till 5:15. So it's now 4:49. We're continuing to track that. And on the right side of your screen, you can see there's the view from UCF. And then the top right is from 417 Innovation. We're keeping an eye on that. So let's go back to our shear rate, which does, it clears up the radar. You can see a little bit of a perk up now of the rotation here, approaching 528. You see there, it's weak, but we're keeping an eye on it a little bit more than it was a few minutes ago. Let's see, make sure I'm not missing anything else. Yeah, so the good news is, when TJ and I were earlier, we talked about this. Let me get this back here. So the storm that's producing the tornado warning in Orange County, we talked about this earlier, how, let me bring this back a full hour. Here we are at 3:50, so if you're just joining us and you've missed everything we've been talking about, this was the radar at 3:50 p.m. We had a strong and a violent tornado that was ongoing here, and we talked about how there were two scenarios. This survives the trek all the way to Orlando and produces a tornado in Orange County, or all this rain that was ahead of it interferes with it and it starts to weaken and broaden out. And I'll loop the radar for an hour, and notice you can see briefly, watch right here, I'm trying to do this with two hands here. You can see briefly, look right here, my finger is, see briefly, see how that hook came back right here, and then right here, see how it's getting wrapped and involved with rain. That was, see the hook echo right there, that was the strong tornado. Another strong tornado down here with that supercell, but you can see how it's gotten closer to Orlando and there's so much rain around. The good news is that it's kind of fallen apart. It's still there, but it's certainly a lot less worrisome than it was a couple of minutes ago. And when you talk about tornadoes, generally when they're on their own and isolated, that's when there's more concern for them. It's when they're wrapped in rain and stuff that it's a little bit harder for them to produce tornadoes. But this is gnarly down here, right to the, maybe not even a mile left of, or west of Port St. Lucie. Or the I-95, I mean, a couple miles west of Port St. Lucie. Apparently that is a ongoing tornado because you see the purple polygon there. So a strong tornado there. A couple of tornado warnings here, and you see a confirmed tornado warning till 5 for Indian River County. That comes up towards Sebastian. But yeah, look at all the rotation offshore. Several areas here of that strong rotation offshore. So one more view up here, and the good news is I'm going to venture to guess that, let me make sure I look before I tell you this. Yeah, there's still some rotation over the B line, but I'm going to venture to guess that this warning is going to be allowed to expire early. So it goes till 5:15. I think if this holds, the Weather Service will cancel this warning early for Orange County. So that's some good news. So let's, now that we have a brief moment of things at least taking a breather from tornado threat, let's do a little reset of our hurricane here. So let me give you the loop of everything so far. Let's see how far back our system can go here. Let's do 6 hours. Let's do this so you can see, to get you caught up with where we've been so far. The outer bands have moved in as expected. This is a 6-hour loop. Here's noon, 1, 2, that tornado outbreak, southeast central and eastern Florida. It'll be interesting to see some of the modeling I was looking at when Laurel was on with you a few minutes ago. It's interesting, some of the, wow, look at that. All the way down to West Palm, all the purple ones are confirmed tornadoes. This is really uncommon to see this in Florida. Confirmed tornadoes, St. Lucie County, Palm Beach County. There's two confirmed tornadoes in Palm Beach County now, and a third in St. Lucie County. But some of the guidance later, it'll be interesting to watch this line, or maybe not that far north, this line of storms here. Some of the guidance pushes this offshore at 7 o'clock, And some of the computer model guidance that we have takes these storms and kind of just moves them more north towards the Space Coast. That's clearly where the environment is most favorable for tornadoes, because we haven't had any confirmed tornado yet, at least around Orlando. They've been all down here. But where this environment that has produced all the tornadoes goes is going to be interesting to see. Does it just kind of scoot offshore, then there's a lot of water spouts offshore through the night, or does this kind of translate more up to the Space Coast by 8, 9 o'clock? That's something we're just going to have to watch the radar trends and see what happens over the coming hours. But in terms of rain so far, we haven't talked about this. Let's look at our rain total so far. Let me turn off all the warnings. So rain so far from Milton. Let's take a look here. You see Osceola County, 4.7, 2.8 in Orlando, 2 in Deltona, 2 in Oak Hill, 4.5 there. So the rain totals are starting to pick up. In the villages, we're only sitting at about maybe 1.5 inches, 1.75 inches in Ocala. But you start getting down towards Tampa, and the rain has really been picking up. Over by St. Pete Beach, 6.7, 6.3 by AMI. So let's do a hurricane update now. Now that we still have that tornado warning. I'm watching it, but until it's expired, we're going to stay with you wall-to-wall coverage here with the tornado warning. So let me give you a hurricane update. Now, what I started talking about earlier, if you were on, and the Hurricane Center has adjusted their forecast. This is not turning anywhere near as far east as it looked like. The eye, you can see it from the radar. We don't need any more models. The time for spaghetti models and models is over with. When you're 12 hours, T-minus 12 hours from landfall, back in the day, this is literally what TV meteorologists in the Hurricane Center did, is just plot an X where the eye is and just watch where the X goes. That's how, it's very simple, but that's how it was done, and it still works. But notice that the break here in this white line, see how the white line goes this way? The hurricane is still on a more northerly trajectory than east-northeast, so it'll be interesting for the landfall. That has huge implications on where it comes in. At least its current heading would make it believe like the eye is going to go towards Tampa. It's going to have to start turning a lot more east if it's going to hit Sarasota directly, but we will see about that later. So here's the latest stats with Milton as of the 5 o'clock advisory now. Moving northeast at 17, it's a Category 3 major hurricane as of 5 p.m. Sustained winds 120. Now notice this convection around the center. It's holding tough. There was some data that suggested this would come in as a 2, some as a 4. I think at this point it's safe to say it's going to landfall as a 3. But notice I've left the warnings on here. You can see there's the center of the hurricane. You see all the dry air over here eating into it in the west central Gulf. But all of these tornado warnings on the east side. So as this comes in tonight, eventually this tornado threat will wane. But it's going to be a long, busy night for us here in Central Florida, and here's why. Let me give you this tornado watch first. So we have a tornado watch through 9. So a tornado watch means that conditions are favorable for tornadoes to form, and you see the active warnings flashing on top of them. But this lighter red everywhere, Polk County, Volusia, Lake, Sumter County, there's a tornado watch till 9 p.m., which means we're going to watch the radars closely through then for the potential for tornadoes. So for anywhere in eastern Florida, east central Florida, that tornado threat is going to be pretty high through 7 to 8 o'clock. After that, it'll be interesting to see, does the threat move offshore or does it kind of redevelop over the Space Coast? So kind of a 3-chapter hurricane here. And we're only in the first chapter because right now it's just raining in a lot of areas and it's a little windy, but not that bad. The hurricane force winds arrive in central Florida after 10. So we're still at the earliest, and that would be I-75, Ocala, the villages. We're still at the earliest 6 to 7 hours from hurricane force winds starting. And then as Brooks Garner talked about extensively this morning with Jess, I was up watching them and they were doing a great job echoing this. I'm going to continue to pass their message along to you here in the afternoon. The flooding is going to end up being the biggest impact to us here. Yes, tornadoes. Yes, there's going to be wind damage and hurricane force winds. Yes, the winds may be the strongest we've seen in a while from a hurricane in Orlando, but it's this flooding potential I cannot stress enough. In some areas could rival Hurricane Ian from several years ago. So let me show you some more about the wind potential. Now this graphic is going to be old there. I believe I still have my winds here. I want to show you the maximum wind potential for this as this comes in, because I do think we're talking about 75 to 100